Hello, my name is Zane Bloom, and this is my presentation for Liberty Online English 8. And today I'll be talking about Banned DH Club. Now, this is a topic that's been very controversial in Major League Baseball for a long time, and ever since the DH was integrated into baseball, people have thought about, why is it actually here? Why do we really need this? Is this really something that's really helping the game of baseball, or is it something that's taking away from the game of baseball? Now, if you don't know, the DH is short for designated hitter. It is a set-aside player on a baseball team that hits for the pitcher. Now, as you can see here, the DH was integrated in 1973 only in the American League. So you can see here, the American League decided to integrate the DH into play, and the National League decided to stay with the more traditional way and just letting the pitcher hit. Excuse me. And the first one to do that was Ron Blomberg for the Yankees, and as you can see here, his baseball card describes him as the DH/outfielder. And this was really very revolutionary in baseball, to say. And people haven't really thought of using another person that's not necessarily on the roster to hit for a pitcher. Now, some of the greater hitting pitchers, like Babe Ruth, who was one of the all-time greats in the Hall of Fame, you never really thought of having another person hit for Babe Ruth. And that's why people started thinking, why do we actually need the DH? And I'll get to the topic later, but mostly it's because of safety. Safety is one of the big reasons for using the DH. On this next slide here, we have some great DHs. We have Don Baylor, Paul Molitor, Jim Thome, and Harold Baines. And all four of these were very athletic DHs. And as you can see, all these are very fit. They hit for good average, and they had hit very good. Lots of home runs, especially from Jim Thome. He's one of the all-time leaders for home runs. And these replaced a lot of the pitchers that are hitting. And like I said before, these are all American League teams with the exception of Paul Molitor here with the Brewers. But the DH just sort of gave a different swing to baseball that you didn't really see very much. It gave a lot of different, usually bigger guys, as you can see here with Frank Thomas and David Ortiz, bigger guys that weren't as athletic, a chance to play on a team and not necessarily have to be in the field with the other 9 players. And these are three probably one of the best DHs that there are. Edgar Martinez, great DH, sometimes said as the greatest DH of all time. David Ortiz in his last season for the Red Sox is this year one of the greatest DHs. He just did his 500th home run just a few weeks ago. Frank Thomas, just an all-around athlete, once a football star as well, another great DH. But some of the reasons for the DH was to kind of replace the pitcher's role in batting. Now, the pitcher's role is usually a sacrifice bunt. A sacrifice bunt is simply just sacrificing yourself to move runners over. So say there's a person on second and third, or let's say first and second, and the pitcher comes up to the plate with less than 2 outs. The pitcher is trying to lay down a bunt to allow the runner from second to go to third and from first to go to second. So it's just kind of giving them an out to move your runners over, to get out of a double play and such. Now, if there's nobody on base, they have kind of this known, kind of understood circumstance where they say, just see as many pitches as you can. Especially when you have a very dominant pitcher on the mound, you want to run up their pitch count. And pitch count is a very big thing nowadays, especially in baseball. And they say just see as many pitches as possible, swing at strikes, take balls, and just use your at-bat to help out the rest of the team. Now, most pitchers are not good hitters. That's just normally known in the baseball community. Pitchers in 2013 only hit for 132 batting average, and that's just about 1 hit every 10 at-bats, or 13 hits every 100 at-bats. So that's not very much. Usually the the best that you can hit, what you're expected to hit is about 300, which is 3 every 10 at bats you're getting on base. And my dad always says he has this famous saying that he always says. He says even the greatest hitters get out 7 out of 10 times, and that's true. But pitchers have just not been the greatest hitters. And as you can see here, Noah Syndergaard is squaring around for a sacrifice bunt, and then the person you saw at the beginning of the slideshow was Bartolo Colon. Now he is absolutely hilarious to watch when he bats. He is, as you can see here, his helmet's flying off. He's all over the place. He's a big guy. He's about 230 pounds, running down first base. He usually carries his bat when he goes to first base. But this is one of the things where you want to just put the ball in play and say, hey, I did my best. I tried to get myself a hit, trying to help myself out, as a popular saying for announcers is help the pitcher out. But pitchers just usually aren't good hitters, and so they usually are asked to lay down sacrifice bunts or just put the ball in play whenever possible. Now, there have been, even though the pitcher has not been a very esteemed hitter, so to speak, there have been some good hitters that have come up through here. Carlos Zambrano, a great example. I was just about 6 or 7 years old when he was hitting against the Pirates, and that's my team, as you can see here with my uniform on. Dontre Willis, he hit the first grand slam by a pitcher ever for the Marlins. Ken Brett, a Pirate, he was also a very good hitter. And Babe Ruth, as I said at the beginning, Babe Ruth was a pitcher. Some people don't always know that, but he was a pitcher at one point. And now the DH, as much as some people don't want to admit, the DH is losing its role. You see here, Alex Rodriguez, Prince Fielder, and Chris Carter. All three are not doing as well as they have been. Prince Fielder, when he was in the National League and playing first base, he was hitting 30 to 40 home runs a year. Now, in this picture with the Detroit Tigers, and today he's with the Texas Rangers, he's not doing as well as he had been. Alex Rodriguez, obviously, he's been struggling. And then Chris Carter, he had also been playing in the National League team for a little while. But then when he went to Astros, he was only batting around 200, which is just above what pitchers are batting. Now, the role of a DH, on the other hand, is usually to get on base and to use that spot in the lineup to take away from having a pitcher to have to hit there. And usually DHs, as you can see here, Prince Fielder and Chris Carter are big guys, and they hit a lot of home runs, as I said before. And that's kind of their main role, is to hit a lot of home runs in a season, and to just be run producers, and especially in tight games. These three teams were all contenders, and big run producers usually come from DHs. And Chris Davis is another one on here. It's a great DH, but he's not really struggling right now. But this year, I found it interesting that only two DHs in the American League are batting over 300, and that's like what I said was the most wanted from a hitter, is you want to bat 300 in a year. Ted Williams, the greatest hitter ever, possibly, he hit over 400, which probably will never happen again. But the DHs usually wanted to hit about 300. There are only 2 out of the 15 teams this year that have a DH that's hitting over 300. And that's David Ortiz, who's probably going to be a Hall of Famer one day, and Victor Martinez, who's always been a great overall hitter. But as you can see, you look down the list of the 15 DHs, and they're 250, 230, and it's early in the season, but that still is not looking too good for the rest of the season. I mean, the only one that's very, very close to David Ortiz and Victor Martinez is Chris Davis, as I just said before, and he's always been a very good DH. He probably has never hit 300, but he's always been a good DH. He's hit a lot of home runs. He was one of the home run leaders in the last few years, along with Nelson Cruz, who's another DH. But you can see the role of the DH is just to hit home runs, which I don't think that's necessarily what you want to do for a DH. When you have the pitcher integrated into hitting, you find that there's a lot more mind games in baseball. You find that you're thinking a lot more. The manager has to think about what he's going to do in the position when the pitcher's coming up. Usually when you have a relief pitcher, pitching, and he's coming to bat, you usually pinch hit for him because relief hitters barely ever get any chance to hit, and so they're not prepared. They haven't hit since high school, possibly, and so you don't want you usually don't want pitchers hitting. And if you're in a tight spot where your pitcher's not doing very well, then you usually have pinch hitters for him. That's not the thing with the DH. With the DH, they're in there the whole game. And behind that, you have pitchers going a lot more innings. You have an average of about 6 innings in NL clubs where they're using pitchers as hitters. And then you see about 7 or 8 innings out of starters in the American League when they have DHs hitting for them. And so it's losing the mind games of baseball, and sacrifice bunting is known as small ball. So small ball is a big part of the game. You have to get into the third baseman or first baseman's head. Am I going to lay down a bunt here? Am I going to move a runner over? Or am I going to swing away and try to hit it by your head or something like that? And that's very important, especially with good hitting pitchers nowadays, because there are some pitchers that are kind of just popping up out of nowhere and saying, I'm going to be a good hitter. I'm going to help myself out and get my team runs, and obviously trying to get them to win. I believe on this next slide here, yes, this is my favorite. So I'm a Pirate fan, and I went absolutely bonkers when this happened. So Francisco Liriano, big guy, probably over 230 pounds. Usually never the best hitter. He was in an American League club for the most part of his career with the Twins, and he came up one day. I believe it was in the bottom of the 5th inning at PNC Park in Pittsburgh, and the Dodgers were winning 3-1, I believe, and they intentionally walked the 8th batter, and that's another thing. Intentionally walking somebody is another thing that plays into the mind games, and you lose that with DHs. You don't see as many intentional walks in the American League as you do in the National League. So Francisco Liriano comes up, losing 3-1. They intentionally walked the batter in front of him, and there was another runner on base. And he hits a 3-run homer into left field, just over the fence, and I went completely bonkers. I didn't think that this man would ever get any hits ever in his life. And I think, you lose that with pitchers. You just think, it's an automatic out, we got a bases loaded situation here, but we got the pitcher up, so it's going to be an automatic out. Well, pitchers these days are trying to prove that theory wrong. And Francisco Liriano, in the last year and a half or so, has established himself as a good hitting pitcher. This year, he got the first RBI of the 2016 season on opening day. Nobody else got the RBI. His first at bat, he rips a single into right field and scores the first run of the season for the Pittsburgh Pirates, and the first run of the season for anybody in the MLB for that matter. And he also pitched a very good game as well. So pitchers have a lot of responsibility, and you can't really hurt them for not being good hitters. But with these, especially these 4 examples, these are very good pitchers who want to help themselves out. They're good in 2 different ways. They're good at pitching and they're good at hitting. Zach Greinke, another great example of a good hitting pitcher. Clayton Kershaw, Cy Young Award winner, but he's a great hitter too. He hit a RBI single in one of the games a few weeks ago, and he pitched a complete game shutout. So he won the game 1-0. He did everything in the game. He pitched and he hit. He got the only run of the game. And so that just shows you, sometimes what's the difference between a win and a loss is maybe a pitcher batting. Madison Bumgarner, who hit this home run that you see here off of Clayton Kershaw, Cy Young Award winner. And so, you see how these pitchers are really trying to get their teams above their opponents. And hitting is the only way you're going to do that. You can't win if you don't hit. That's the old saying. And these pitchers are just doing their best to make it a lot easier for themselves. Now this man right here, Adam Wainwright, he is the head of the Ban the DH Club. He is out there to say no DH, period. Not in the American League, not in the National League. Let the pitchers hit. And I read this when I was looking up this picture. I got this picture. I got this little excerpt off of sportsblog.com. It says, no, the National League shouldn't have designated hitters any years. And they are, really. Yeah, if you think about it, the DHs just allow the American League pitchers to go more innings. And I say here, he's the promoter of the band, the DH Club. He got hurt last year because he was batting. I believe he twisted his ankle after he swung at a pitch, and he was out for the season. But he came back and said, that's not a reason why the DH should prevail. That's more of a reason to why pitchers should hit. Pitchers don't get hurt usually because they're batting. Pitchers get hurt because they're on a baseball field and they're prone. They're prone to getting hurt. So he just says, there's no reason to have a DH. This is just a big reason why we have pitchers hitting in the National League. And then this last slide here. Are you in the band, the DH Club? And I like this little shirt made by Bob Walk. It says Band the DH Club uniform. And I can say for a fact that I am part of the Band the DH Club. I don't necessarily know exactly why the DH is so important. And like I said before, it's losing its value. It's showing that it's not being as viable as it was before. And pitchers are starting to pop up and prevail more as hitters as they were in past years, as you could see before. So I hope this will get you a little bit more acquainted with the major leagues and the DH, just to let you know a little bit more about this controversial topic. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.